Good evening. Welcome to the public hearing for the Livingston Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today is February 27th, 2024. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exist, that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning board of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant the variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have the right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you're an objector to any type of variance that has been granted, you too may appeal to Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the notice of decision. If you file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the Planning Administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star-Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or to make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you'd like to address the board, please come to the front and use the microphone so we can ensure your comments or questions are part of the record. We will now call the roll. Ms. Khan?
Ms. Khan is here. Mr. Kenya? Here. Ms. Marash?
Here.
Mr. Sherman?
Here.
Ms. Yuan?
Here.
Mr. Beer?
Here.
And Mr. Gemis, our board attorney, is here, and Ms. Hollis, our planning administrator, is here tonight.
Ms. Khan, can you call the first applicant?
Block 1704, Lot 19, 89 East McClellan Avenue, application number 2023-25-V, Gary and Doris Tufaro. Applicant seeks approval for a 2-car garage in violation of the following section: 170-87E1A, accessory building height, 13 feet allowed, 18 feet proposed, 5 feet variance requested.
I will be recusing myself from this. Ms. Khan will take over.
How are you? Good to see you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Gemis, would you like to swear him in?
Early. Are both of you going to testify, or is just one? All right, so then I'm going to ask you both, do you swear or affirm that all the statements and testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete? Consider yourselves under oath. I'm going to ask the architect to provide his name and where he's...
Microphone. Turn that on. That's it. Not turning on. Oh, his come.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's better. Good evening, thank you. Peter Serpico, firm name is Serpico Architect, Westfield, New Jersey, 1201 Boynton Avenue, Boynton, Westfield 07090. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey for since 1997. Graduated New Jersey Institute of Technology 1986, practicing since 1997, I'm sorry.
Mr. Serpico, you've been qualified to give expert testimony as an architect in other jurisdictions or before this board?
Yes, I have.
All right, and is your license in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Madam Chairman, respectfully, I suggest that Mr. Serpico be entitled to present architectural testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Who's presenting first? You're sworn in. Okay.
I guess I'll give a general statement of what has happened. Should I pull up the pictures on the board? Sure. Or just give a general what we're doing?
Whatever you'd like. You can pull them up if you want.
Okay, just so you have a better idea.
I'm sorry, what is? Mr. Varro? Tavaro? Tufaro, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I know you were sworn in before and you're under oath now. Just so you know, this application requires 5 yes votes. And there are 5 members sitting here. So just so we're clear, that if 4 members vote yes and 1 abstains or votes no, you don't succeed, okay? We're obligated to let you know that in advance. All right, thank you, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
So we presented a plan. I have originally a single-car garage detached in my yard from the 20s. We never really were able to park a car in it. It's an old garage. So we would like to have a 2-car garage with standable space upstairs. So we could put, like, we can get rid of our shed, clean up the yard, you know, and put the stuff that's around in storage and put it upstairs where I could stand. The first plan was our original one on the left. That was denied, it was too big. So we dramatically reduced it to the plan on the right. And that's what we're seeking to get. That has a front storage access, and that could be a window or, you know, just continue to have the storage. And that gives us the ability to park a couple of cars in the garage, and I have 3 drivers now, children. So we could use the space in the garage to put a couple of vehicles and have parking behind it so they could park too. Aesthetically, actually, the original garage is within 3.5 feet of the neighbor's property. We're going to move it to conform to the 5-foot setback, so we wouldn't need a variance for that and bring it away. Pete, would you like to talk about the aesthetics of it and the pitch?
Plan
No, that's the plan for, I'm not sure if we have a side plan.
That's okay.
We have side pictures.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, well, just a little history here. I met Gary and his wife a few years ago, and they asked me to assist them in the design for a garage. I've done plenty of work in Livingston, by the way, and had not been before the board for any zoning variances. This is the first in many years. I am aware that that Livingston does have, here we go, much of a rarity for 2-car detached garages. Most of them are attached, and I believe any new construction requires attached garages to the home. This property, as you can see, it clearly doesn't condone a attached garage. We looked at that from the start, and it just didn't work unless you drove through it to get to the backyard. So it just didn't work on this site. So Gary wanted to create a 2-car garage, expand his original 1-car garage for what he just mentioned, to get some cars in there, storage in the attic space. And, you know, as an architect, we like to go out there and look at the property, look at the adjacent neighborhood. We want to complement what's there. So I started with taking his roof lines on his home, trying to follow the pitches of those. They were pretty nice, steeper slopes. His garage, basically, how we did get to this design was the slope you see here is the slope of the original 1-car garage. We basically just continued it up to obtain the width of the 2-car garage, and it does complement the house fairly well. I went out there several times, looked at it from different vantage points, and I don't see anything with this as being any type of aesthetic detriment to the neighborhood, to Farrow House itself. Also, what Gary stressed was the attic space. The reason why we're proposing the 18-foot height is for the attic space to become a usable space. To Farrow's, everyone knows these days budgets are increasing for construction. They're really, we would say, out of the water in terms of pricing. So the Farrows are really putting out some good money for this project, and they're taking it to heart. They really want to do it correctly and do it in a fashion that will really service them properly for now and in the future. And Gary's biggest concern is when he does get up into his attic, he asked me to get as much space as we can for walking with headroom. So with this pitch, stopping at the 18-foot mark, he's got about 6 foot, I believe we agreed about 6 or 7 feet, if that, in width of about a 6'8", 7-foot ceiling underneath the collar ties that will be there structurally, which isn't all that much. If we were to reduce the pitch a bit, number one, the aesthetics of the building would really, I would say, be a detriment. It would just not, it would look too squat for the proportions of the width of the building. And we kept it at this pitch, again, for 2 reasons. One, for the aesthetics, and number 2, for the use of the attic. He's really using it for storage. His house is pretty much filled. I went in and looked at his existing attic. It's an older home. It doesn't have all that much headroom to begin with. His basement is pretty crowded up. So he's really looking to as he ages, with his wife ages over time, they don't want to leave town. They really love the property, love Livingston. So he wants to be able to get up there and sort out boxes and not have to be on his knees at all times. There is a pull-down stair, nothing permanent. There's nothing in the design that would denote any type of living space, art space. It's not. He's not looking to make it a workspace. 100% storage. That's really what he's looking for, and he's looking for the comfort of just being able to walk up that step and for at least 6 feet in width, be able to walk back and forth front to back with the ease of not having to lean over and be on his knees in a typical attic scenario. The other thing I want to just bring up quickly is, as Gary did say, he testified that he had me move the house over, the garage over, to eliminate another possible variance. We could have went in saying, let's leave it where the old one was, non-conforming, existing use, see if we would probably then need a variance anyway. So we moved it in 5 feet. I think it's situated well on the site. And the last point I'd like to make is when you're looking at this from a distance, and if this roof was a little bit lower, if it was at 13 feet, you're looking at, the bulk of this is looking at shingles that are rising at a slope. This is about an 8 and 12. I don't remember what the actual slope was on this one. I don't believe, in my professional opinion, aesthetically, there is not much of a difference in looking at this roof at 18 feet versus at the 13 feet. It's going to appear to be a sloping shingled roof, timberline shingles, nice shingles he proposes to use. It's not like a vertical wall that we're battling against here. The difference of the 5 feet. It's not looking at a vertical wall versus this angled plane. So I just wanted to bring that up so everyone could get a little better feeling of what the difference would be if this thing was any lower. And again, anything lower would just be a pitch that would not be aesthetically pleasing in this in the look of the garage. That's about it. That's what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
think we, and again, this is, it's a very rare size lot. This is not your typical lot. I don't know if I mentioned that. I know I mentioned that detached garages are very rare in Livingston. This is, it's a very, one in, I don't know how many, I could have done a study on that, but I didn't. Not many lots this narrow, so seems like he, you know, we situated it in the right position, the proper setbacks are there.
And what I would like to do also is maybe clean up the yard, and we have a shed back there now, maybe get rid of the shed and whatever's in there, the kids' bikes and everything, and put everything upstairs if I have enough room, so that'll clean the yard up. And none of the neighbors have a problem with this, that, you know, it's all our backyards together, so nobody has a problem with us doing this. And most of the garage is behind the house. So if you look at it from the street, all you're really seeing is the one-car garage anyway. The rest of it is behind my house. So I'm the only one who's going to really see most of it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness?
How is this different than what you presented last time?
The plan on the right, it's not.
It's not, right?
It's not different. Yeah, we was looking at what we can do to change it, but after talking to Pete, there's not much lower we can go, especially with the roof ties, without hitting your head and stuff like that. So it's the same plan as the last time I was here.
Okay.
I have two questions.
Okay.
So from last time, you said the attic access would be the pull down.
Yes.
Will that still remain the same?
Yes.
Okay. Also, still no plumbing will go into the house?
No.
I mean, into the garage?
No.
Okay, my last one would be, can you please explain to me the side door, what are the use of them?
Oh, that's just like when the cars are in the garage, I can get at the stuff in the front of the garage without moving the cars out.
Gotcha, thank you.
So like we can get in there and like take stuff in and out without, like that's how I'll get to the attic steps, which will be in the front of the cars.
Right.
Through the
but
doors
then,
without moving the cars.
Like, why does it has to be like a two door?
Well, that's
Does
just to
have
make it bigger so I can get stuff in and out
Okay.
easier, that's all. Like
Gotcha.
if I put a lawnmower in there and it's wider, so I don't hit the doors and stuff.
Gotcha, thank you.
Does anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay, yes, please.
Mr. Serpico, based upon your testimony and the observations that you made about the aesthetics and everything else, is it your opinion that if the board were to approve this application, the municipal land use law would be advanced by the deviation from the zoning ordinance requirement, and that the benefit from the deviation would substantially outweigh any detriment?
Yes,
Thank you.
100%
That's all I have.
a benefit.
Does anyone in the public want to make a statement? Does anyone on the board want to make a statement?
Well, I was going to ask a question, but I'll just make it as a statement. I know in the last hearing or the hearing before, it was also brought up by the board about a deed restriction that the garage would never become an apartment habitable space. Are you still willing to?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll do that.
I'll also make a statement. This is just going to be strictly for your cars.
The garage itself? Yes.
Okay.
It's, the cars will be on the, underneath and storage above it. That's basically what it is. We never had cars in the garage yet, since we own the house 30 years, because the old garage wasn't really big enough for anything. So this will be the first time we're able to park in garages. With everything getting stolen, we want to get them in there. Give enough parking for the kids and stuff like that. So we're actually moving the garage back a little.
So, Mr. Tafaro, so I can understand, did you just agree to a condition that you're going to put a deed restriction that the garage will not be used for any other purpose?
That it won't be used as a living space, yes.
It won't be used for living space?
Yes.
And you understand when you say that you're going to put a deed restriction, you're going to prepare, a deed is going to be prepared and recorded that says that it can't be with the Register of Essex County. You understand that?
That it can't be used as a living space, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. Like,
Okay.
that means there's no utilities in there. or plumbing or,
I'm not arguing, I just want to make sure that you understand that's a condition of, if the board were to move on this, that might be a condition of the approval, is that correct?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment. Thank you so much for, first of all, bringing your architect tonight to explain to us the plans, and for modifying the plans from the first time, and for moving the structure over 5 feet, so you wouldn't need a second setback. We appreciate all that you've done, taking into account the aesthetics of your house, making the garage work with it, and also the way that your driveway is set up, that the garage is in the back, really won't see it from the street. And I think that you've done a really nice job tailoring it for your house.
Thank
So,
you.
does anybody want to make a motion for this? Okay. Ms. Marash,
Yes.
Ms. Yuan,
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Kenya,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
congratulations. And
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. We did it. Thank you, everyone.
Please call the next application.
Block 4700, Lot 30, 6 Hazelwood Avenue, application number 2023-30-V. Abhishek Gangwal, applicant seeks approval for a new attached garage deck in right side and rear addition in violation of the following sections. 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 26.1 feet proposed, existing, 13.9 feet, variance requested. 170-99C3, right side yard setback, 10 feet required, 6.67 feet proposed, 3.33 feet, variance requested. 170-99C3, left side yard setback, 10 feet required, 5.75 proposed, 4.25 feet, variance requested. 170-99C3, aggregate side yard, 30% required, 24.7% proposed, 5.3% variance requested. Habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 39.94% proposed, 9.94% variance requested.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Do we need to
Diana
swear them back in?
McGovern from the law firm of Gasho and Pomaco. We're here again with respect to 6 Hazelwood Avenue. The application was first heard in September. Then we came back last month with a revised plan so that the habitable floor area ratio was reduced. There became some confusion in terms of a document regarding the average setback. What we learned was because Mr. Gangwal's property is located so close to the corner, it doesn't apply because you need 2 houses on either side to create that average front yard setback. So we will be talking about the front yard setbacks in the neighborhood, just in general terms, to set the as a comparison, but it will not affect any of the variances that we had requested. We began the application last month, and we heard from Mr. Gangwal, who testified that he would like to remove the existing detached garage that is currently situated at the end of a very long driveway in the rear of his property and build a new attached garage to the house, which would lessen impervious coverage and create a large open yard space while adding a secure garage area for his electric vehicle. The property is undersized, being only 50 feet wide, where 75 feet width is required. The property is also somewhat shaped like a trapezoid, having a left side depth of 139.5 feet and a right side depth of approximately 143.79 feet. A number of the variances that are required are directly related to the pre-existing conditions, which include the front yard setback. We have a pre-existing 26.1 feet, 40 feet are required. Side yard setback requires 10 feet. We have a pre-existing left side yard of 5.75 feet, and on the right side, we are proposing a 6.67 setback. The required aggregate side yard is 30% or 15 feet, and we are proposing 20.7% or 12.42 feet, and maximum building coverage ratio is 25%, where we are proposing 25.4. Finally, the proposed addition requires a D4 variance for a habitable floor area ratio as the proposed project exceeds the maximum allowed of 30% at 39.94. As I noted earlier, Mr. Gangwal has already testified, and I'm assuming all of the board members remember his testimony, that he would like to increase the dining room area on the first floor, where currently there is a small area for dining, add a first floor guest bedroom for his elderly parents. Under the new addition, a finished basement is proposed as recreational space for his 2 children. The current home does not have any usable basement space as the ceilings are very low. Upstairs, Mr. Gangwal testified that his family all share 1 bathroom on the 2nd floor, so the proposed addition contemplates adding a full bathroom to create a primary suite and adding another bedroom to double as Mr. Gangwal's office, as he works from home 5 days a week. The smaller office area or den area on the first floor would be for Ms. Gangwal, who works from home just 3 days a week. We left off with our architect, Mr. Hall, who is about to testify about the proposed addition. Mr. Gemis, he was sworn in to testify. I don't know whether he has to be resworn.
I would suggest that I'll just reaffirm his
Okay.
testimony. Would you just state your name and spell it, please?
Yes, my name is Frank Hall, H-A-L-L.
And Mr. Hall, the credentials that you understand that you will swear or affirm that whatever statements or testimony you present today will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yeah.
And in terms of your credentials, are they the same as when you were qualified previously?
Yes, they are.
Nothing's changed, your license is still around?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, he can proceed.
Please do.
Okay. Go ahead. Mr. Hall, when we were last in front of the board, there was some confusion about whether average front yard setback would apply, and we've confirmed that due to the closeness of the proximity of the property to the corner, we will not be presenting evidence of the average front yard setbacks. But I would like you to describe the front yard setbacks of the other houses on the street in relation to the applicant's house for purposes of demonstrating whether the house stands out from others and how this addition will affect the front yard setback.
The existing front yards, the setback, the front yard setback that is referenced in the zoning chart is an existing front yard setback, and it's substantially similar to the balance of the residences in the neighborhood. We don't have, as Ms. McGovern said, we don't have 2 on each side of us, but we do have a pattern of similarity as we go down the street. This diagram that was taken from an aerial photograph shows at our property taken from the curb line, just as having the consistent relationship with the property line down the street. You'll see 35.7 existing to us, 36 the neighbor adjacent to us, 31.4, 30.6. So there are neighbors that have even a smaller front yard setback than us. And that is to our existing. It's 26.4 to our existing front setback. The new construction only violates the 40-foot required front yard setback by approximately 2 feet to the front of the proposed garage.
Ms. McGovern, is this document that's up on the board, is that part of the application documents that were submitted?
It was submitted to the code department.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
10
just wanted
days
to make
before.
sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This entire first sheet was resubmitted.
All right, now with respect to, we're going to go through the layout just to, for the the addition and what is being added. Could you tell us, what is the size of the first floor bedroom?
The first floor bedroom is approximately 11 by 12. I'm just figuring out how to get to the next sheet here. There we go.
We have our tech help coming.
Oh, sorry. It wouldn't go to the next sheet because there was no next sheet on that file.
We're- Okay, with respect to the first floor guest bedroom, I was asking you what the size of that bedroom was.
So the first floor guest bedroom is approximately, I believe it was 11 by 12.
Is there a minimum size that's considered a bedroom?
We generally try to start bedrooms at about 11 by 14, so you can have a full or a queen-size bed and have a nightstand on either side of it and a little bit of room to get around the bed. This bedroom, actually at 10 by 12, sorry, no, that's sort of surfing around the drawing here. It's yeah, 11 by 12. It's about as small as we would make a bedroom. We have ones on the second floor that are 10 by 12. But this is definitely at the small end of a bedroom before it becomes really impractical, especially if, as was discussed, there would be the occasional guests, as in a couple of elderly parents, so you need at least a full-size bed and some room for people who need some room to move around, especially as they get elderly. So really, these are very conservative bedroom sizes.
Okay, now we're also adding to the dining room area. We could go through that. They're showing 2 rooms, is that?
We revisited that actually with our client. We have a space called dinette and a space called dining room. We clarified that our client was not so much looking for an extra room, but extra room. So really what we intend to do is for those 2 spaces to be combined. So for larger holiday gatherings, there'll be room for a table that stretches out.
Sunday dinners, things of that nature.
Sunday
the whole
dinners
family can sit in there?
and holidays, annual holidays.
And what is the dimension of that dining room? That full dining room with that added area that?
Well, it's about 11 feet wide.
Okay.
And it's about 20 feet long if you go from the back wall to where the stairs start.
Okay. All right. Now, the study space that's in front of it,
The study space
how will that be
at
used?
the bottom of the plan at the front of the first floor, that would be used by Mrs. Gangwald, who works from home, I believe it's 3 days per week. It's a small space. It's really a space for a desk and a chair and maybe a bookcase or a file cabinet. Just adequate for somebody who spends a fair amount of time at home, but doesn't have clients coming in or anything.
Could you, then we'll go up to the second floor and describe the rooms and the bathrooms up there?
Sure. At the second floor, At the second floor, we have an addition at the right side of the house, and over that addition at the second floor are 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. The additional bathroom is so that there can be a bathroom for guests, and so that there's not so much sharing of bathrooms amongst the family. And the 2 bedrooms are that his 2 children can have their own bedroom and 1 room with the guest room, probably the guest room being on the first floor because relatives, some of them are elderly, probably they'll be on the first floor. And there's what's labeled as bedroom number 5 is really the office for Mr. Gangwal, says he does work from home on a full-time basis.
And what is the size of that the
That
bedroom?
that room is 10 by 12?
And that room, when we started, this was made smaller
Yes.
as a result
It
of the board's?
previously extended back to, as you can see here, over the top of the room below. So this is where the bedroom is at the back of the first floor, and so it was pulled back to be just 12 feet deep.
And the size of this bedroom, or what dedicated office/bedroom, is that an overly large room?
No, that's even 8 or 9% smaller than the room that I described downstairs.
And then just briefly, the basement, I know I'm skipping from the second floor down to the bottom. Is there a useful basement in the house now?
Based upon height, I wouldn't call it a useful basement. The existing house it's just a very small house to begin with. The footprint of the existing house is small, but in addition to that, the basement is only about 6 foot 5 inches tall.
Okay, so the new basement area, what will that be? Will that be able to be used?
Well, we would step down into that a little bit to make the ceiling height adequate, and that would be utilized as play space for the children in the home.
Why couldn't that space be used as the full-time office space?
Well, Mr. Gangwal works from home on a permanent basis, and I think reasonably he would like to have see some daylight, to be able to look outside and see some sunshine, and just to get to that space, again, you're going through basement space that's of deficient height. I think it's reasonable to expect that you should have proper habitable space to function in.
And the garage, is there a space requirement, a minimum size that a garage can be?
Yes, this is just at that size, at a 12-foot width by
And
20-foot long.
the purpose of this garage would be attached to the house, and also, as I understand it, Mr. Gangwal, they have electric cars. Would this be available for an electric car charging station interiorly?
Well, sure. If you're charging the car, you need some room to move around and to safely operate the plugging the charger in. And it's you need to bring a pretty heavy power line out to the garage if he was functioning with his detached garage. And this is just more serviceable, more functional. You're not crossing the yard in a foot of snow in January. To the extent that we have snow in January
We get snow anymore, but yes.
But it's reasonable to plan for expecting snow sometimes. And every modern home is built with an attached garage. It's the expectation of modern living.
And finally, could you describe the finishes on the exterior of the house?
Sure. There we go. This is the front facade. This represents, it's the same window arrangement and so forth, and roof lines on the existing part of the house, and the roof lines of the addition at the right-hand side would mirror that. This represents an upgrade to the exterior finishes of a board and batten siding, which is a kind of a farmhouse look, with some stone at the first floor level. The rest of the other 3 elevations of the house would be a vinyl siding, consistent with what's on the house now. Vinyl siding is a ubiquitous siding, but when we handle it with the appropriate trim and so forth, casing around windows and corner boards and so forth, we can wind up with a very attractive-looking traditional style home.
Is this addition, is this going to add to the lot coverage or reduce the lot coverage?
The overall impervious coverage of the lot will significantly decrease.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? I think the board may have some questions.
I'm happy to take any.
Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Sherman?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. First question is, I know that there's, you have, in the rear of the property, you're obviously, there's a lot of room to the rear setback line. Is there a reason why the addition wasn't more brought towards the rear of the house as opposed to the side of the house?
Well, a main function of the addition was to provide the attached garage. And it would be highly impractical to push a new garage, to do an attached garage at the back of the house. It would basically cut off all the windows in the back of the house from the backyard. It would have to be a garage that we made a hard left turn into. And there would be no backyard access from the rest of the house.
And the other question that I have is also, the addition kind of brings the house very close to number 4. Right now, you have a driveway that slopes towards the street, and the property slopes towards number 4. The drainage off the house would flow down the driveway to the street, but now eliminating the driveway and putting the addition, how are you handling the stormwater off that side of the house without impacting number 4?
Well, we would be, of course, subject to whatever drainage requirements that the engineering department of the township requires. I mean, my understanding working in Livingston is that there's not an impervious coverage requirement, but it's addressed by the engineering department at such time as we apply for a permit. And certainly if any subsurface drainage was deemed necessary. But, I mean, there is a driveway now from the garage all the way to the front of the property, so we're really just shortening. And actually, the driveway is getting further from the adjacent property.
No, that I get. I mean, the driveway would be in the front, but then you now have, like right now, the water off the rear of the property would just flow down the driveway, as it is today. But once that driveway is removed, and now you're dumping now to the side of the house, which now is in between.
The rear of the property has some impervious coverage in it. We're eliminating that impervious coverage. So we have a pervious backyard now.
Okay.
Okay, anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? All right. Anybody on the board want to make a statement? Anybody in the public want to make a statement?
But I have,
You want to say more?
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
planner expert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was from last time.
No, no.
Never mind.
No, we didn't.
Jump the gun there a little bit.
That's okay. Thank you, Frank. Okay, we have Charles Baldanza as our planning expert.
Oh, Mr. Baldassar, would you please state your name and spell your name, please?
Yes, Charles L. Baldanza. The last name is spelled Baldanza.
Mr. Baldanza, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete, including your testimony?
I do.
I will turn over credentials to Ms. McGovern.
Thank you. Mr. Baldanza, could you give your occupation?
Yes, I'm a professional planner, also a registered architect and a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've had my own design firm since 2014. I've been a licensed planner in New Jersey since 2015. My license is in good standing. Obviously, I'm focusing on the planner because that's what I was engaged to do tonight. So my license is current and in good standing. I've testified in front of land use boards throughout mostly the northern half of New Jersey, and been accepted as an expert witness in planning in front of those boards.
In fact, you testified in front of this board last month.
Yeah,
correct?
I was here last month.
I've moved to qualify Mr. Baldanza as an expert in planning.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections? No, we can accept you as an expert in planning.
Thank you.
All right, Charlie. What information did you review to prepare your analysis?
Okay, well, I reviewed the plans submitted by the applicant's architect, which you just heard, Mr. Hall, which was last revised 2/16/24. I saw the 10/5/23 denial letter from the township zoning official. I also reviewed the current Livingston zoning ordinances, the 2018 Livingston Master Plan Reexamination and Comprehensive Revision, municipal land use law. I also examined the relevant tax maps, specifically sheets 46 and 47. And I personally visited the site and the neighborhood as well.
Could you describe the existing site?
Okay, yeah, the site, as you know, it's on 6 Hazelwood. The property's on the east side of the street between West Northfield Road to the south and Crest Terrace to the north. It's in the R4 zone. It's a single-family residence, which is a permitted use in the zone. The size of the subject property is 7,140.54 square feet, 7,140.54 square feet, whereas 9,375 square feet is required in the zone, which is a 2,234 and 46 square foot deficiency. The property is characterized by a 50-foot width and a 139.43 depth, slightly irregular, slightly trapezoidal, and the R4 zone requires 75 by 125 lots. The home in question was constructed in 1930, according to tax records.
Could you describe the neighborhood and the area surrounding the site?
Okay, the surrounding neighborhood, well beyond the 200-foot distance from the property, they're all part of the R4 zone. The neighborhood is comprised of predominantly 1.5 and 2-story single-family houses. Many of the neighboring houses, including all the adjacent properties on the east side of Hazelwood, are also 50-foot wide lots, and as such, they're deficient in width and area for the zone.
Does the master plan make any reference to this area or proposed type of project?
Yes, it does. The master plan, section 3, page 11, mentions the R4 district as, I'll quote, the oldest residential district in the township. Goes on to state that small lots have led to frequent variance applications from the zoning board of adjustment, end quote. The recommendation of the master plan is that, and I'll quote again, the R4 district setback requirements should be adjusted to better reflect existing conditions in the neighborhoods so as to reduce the need for variances, and consideration should be given to rezoning, end quote.
Thank you. Can you take us through the variances for this application?
Sure. The application was denied by the zoning officer for front yard setback, both side yard setbacks, aggregate side yards, and habitable floor area ratio. Per 170-99C2, the required front yard setback is 40 feet. The existing front yard setback is 26.1 feet at the overhang. A variance of 13.9 feet is needed for this pre-existing condition. Per 170-99C3, the required side yard setback is 10 feet. The proposed right setback is 6.67 feet. A variance of 3.3 feet is needed. Per C3, the required side yard setback is 10 feet. The proposed left side setback is 5.75. A variance of 4.25 feet is needed. Per C3, the required aggregate side yard is 15 feet. The proposed is 12.42 feet. A variance of 2.58 feet is needed. And per CC4, the allowed habitable floor area ratio is 30%. The proposed is 39.94%. A variance of 9.94% is needed. There may also be a variance needed and requested for maximum building coverage ratio, which is allowed would be 24.54% based on that calculation, and we're providing 25.4%.
You explain the front yard variance?
Yeah, well, as Mr. Hall testified, the front yard technically does not comply because we have a 26.1 feet setback. However, our addition is almost entirely out of that setback. So the addition will be further back significantly from that front yard line. In fact, I think it's almost at the 40-foot line. And therefore, it's my contention that that really almost is not in play, that that's a pre-existing condition.
Can you explain the other variances?
Yeah, okay. The need for the remaining variance is based on nature of the size and shape of this lot. By being deficient in lot width, it becomes difficult to comply with the side setbacks. By being undersized, it becomes difficult to comply with the habitable floor area ratio. I should further explain that the habitable floor area ratio only applies to homes in the R4 district if other bulk variances are required. That's section 170-87DD. Therefore, the 50-foot size of this lot is especially the driving factor of why we are before this board this evening.
Is this site suitable for this project?
Yes, absolutely. We heard from the architectural testimony how this proposed renovation and expansion of this existing single-family home will function on the site and serve the needs of its current occupants.
What is the statutory criterion for granting of these variances?
Okay, we need to demonstrate to this board's satisfaction that these variances can be granted in accordance with both the positive and negative criteria established in the MLUL.
Can you demonstrate that the requested habitable floor area ratio variance is justified under the MLUL?
Yeah. In the case of Grubbs versus Slowauthor, the appellate division held that the standards of proof outlined in the NJ Supreme Court decision, Coventry Square versus Westwood Zoning Board of Adjustment, establish, among other things, the applicant needs to justify the site can accommodate the problems associated with the proposed higher density than permitted by the ordinance. It is the burden of the applicant to show special reasons in order for the board to grant relief under this subsection. The applicant must either show the refusal to allow the project would impose an undue hardship, or when a proposed project carries out the purposes of the MLUL. I believe we can show that both of these criteria apply to this project.
Okay, let's start with the hardship.
Okay. In regard to the undue hardship, the applicant and his architect has provided testimony as to the need to modernize his 1930s era home to modern standards and layout. The lot area is, as I said, 7140 square feet, whereas 9375 are required. The lack of square footage of the lot directly leads to the need for the habitable floor area ratio variance, as by definition, here's the definition of the habitable floor area. The ratio is the sum of the habitable area of all floors of buildings and structures on a site divided by the total area of the site, end quote. So again, there's no available land that the applicant could acquire. He can't acquire any land that would be able to remedy the fact that he doesn't have enough.
In your opinion, can you provide how the project carries out the purposes of the MLUL?
Okay. The following purposes of zoning are advanced. The purposes of the MLUL are advanced by this. Okay, let's go through a few of them. Purpose B of the MLUL is to secure safety from fire, flood, panic, and other natural and man-made disasters. Okay, we heard from the architect. The proposal calls for a reduction of the impervious lot coverage from 3,442 square feet to 2,339 square feet. So that's a reduction of, right now we have 48.2% impervious coverage on a site. We're going to be going down to 32.7%. This reduction of impervious surface will reduce the possibility of uncontrolled stormwater flow onto neighboring properties. Okay, purpose C of the MLUL is to provide adequate light, air, and open space. By providing more exterior use areas at the rear of the dwelling, as the architect testified, that we're going to be pulling the house closer to the road and removing the detached garage in the rear and all that impervious surface in the rear. And we're going to be providing a view from the neighboring properties of a more open backyard. And therefore, we're going to be furthering that goal of the MLUL. Goal number G is to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses and open space, both public and private. Okay, this proposal will allow for the site to continue to be used as a single-family dwelling permitted in the zone, and again, to provide a home for a modern home equipped for the needs of its current owners and occupants. Finally, purpose I of the MLUL is to provide a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. Okay, the placing of the expanding living space in the sidelines and increasing the habitable floor area ratio, as we're asking, per the architectural design, allows for the house to be modernized in an aesthetically pleasing and practical manner, and simultaneously allows for a reduction in impervious lot coverage. The additions and renovations as designed so as not to, they're designed so as not to, they're designed to increase the open area to the rear. The addition of an attached garage will provide a usable means of secure parking and a place for Mr. Gangwal to charge his electric car. And therefore, that promotes that goal of the MLUL.
Can you describe how the site can accommodate the problems associated with the proposed higher density?
Yes. As seen from the testimony of the architect, the site can well accommodate the proposed renovations and expansions. We're providing sufficient off-street parking, including the secure parking space in the proposed attached garage, reducing lot coverage, and the home will remain a single-family dwelling.
Okay, can we just briefly go through the bulk variances as justified by, under the C1 criteria?
Okay. Well, the MLUL calls for, as it's amended in 1984, calls for, under the C1, variances can be justified for peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties to, or exceptional undue hardship upon the applicant arising out of, A, the exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, or B, by reason of exceptional topographic conditions, physical features uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, or C, by reason of extraordinary exceptional situation uniquely affecting a specific piece of property. So, going through A, by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, the subject property is only 50 feet wide, whereas 75 feet are required in the zone. The neighboring properties are fully developed with houses, and they're also of an insufficient width. Therefore, there is no possible remedy to that situation. The lack of width leads directly to the need for the side yard variances requested. The architect testified that we're going to be putting on a bedroom and a garage. Well, they have to be a certain width. So if we're already stuck with the width of the existing house and you put on a garage or you put on a room, well, obviously that's a constraint. If the applicant were to strictly adhere to that 10-foot side yard and be practical to renovate the house in a modern, architecturally satisfactory way, as testified to by the architect, the result would be a long and narrow house. Furthermore, other variances such as lot coverage would possibly be required if that were to happen. I should also point out that the right side minimum setback of 6.67 is only at the front corner of the addition. Due to the shape of the property, it's actually 8.75 feet at that rear corner. The left side setback of 5.75 is actually decreased in the sense that the deck was even less conforming, the existing deck that's being removed. I'd also like to point out that if we had the required 9375 square feet of area, our 2,852 square foot HFA would be at that 30% mark. Okay, so in addition to the constraints that we have with the shape of the property is that that slight angle also, I could show it on the you see, the building itself is not parallel with any of the lines, either the side yard or the front yard, which was another constraint. So we do have a constraint with the shape. So moving to reason B, I hope you can all bear with me on this, but we want to go through it all. By reason of the topographic features and the physical features, we mention again that the lot area is 7,154, where we need 9,375, and the lack of square footage is what is leading to this. I'll move to reason C. By reason of extraordinary situation affecting a specific piece of property or the structures lawfully existing thereon, the strict application of any regulation would result in an exceptional practical difficulties to or undue hardship upon the property. The property was developed with an older original 1930 dwelling, one that suffers from an inefficient design as testified by the architect. So that's our pre-existing condition. We're trying to work with this older house, which is obviously outdated. The older dwelling lacks many of today's contemporary amenities, which you heard about, and it's the size that normally people are going to be looking for in Livingston. So the applicant is attempting to do the best they can to modernize this pre-World War II era dwelling.
Can the C variances also be granted under a C2 criteria?
Yeah, so if we look at the C2 reasoning, I think we also have a very good case for that. If you look at the Kaufman versus Planning Board for Warren Township, 1988, the Supreme Court found that in the C2 scenario, you must have 5 criteria and comply with them. One is that it's a specific piece of property. 2, the purposes of the MLUL must be advanced. That's the better zoning alternative. 3, that there's no substantial detriment to the public good. 4, that the benefits must outweigh the detriments for the entire proposal. And 5, that there's no substantial detriment to the zoning requirements of master plan. So I'm going to go through them. Number 1, the specific property. We mentioned this just applies to this property on Hazelwood Avenue. The variance will only apply to the unique circumstances existing on this lot as we testified in this application. Number 2, the better zoning alternative. For this specific piece of property, a better zoning alternative is provided by this proposal, and the purposes of the zoning are advanced as listed. I went through them already on the D variance. MLUL purposes B, C, G, and I, which I discussed before. Reason number 3, the public good. The variances requested can be granted without a detriment to the public good. In this case, the public good can be defined as the potential impact to our neighbors. With the addition, while the addition will be closer to the sidelines than permitted in the zone, there will be a larger open space in the rear, especially since the detached garage and driveway leading to it will be removed. The new arrangement is more compact, providing a better architectural arrangement and organization of the house, allowing for this increased space to the rear. Thus, the requested variances will not result in a substantial detriment to the public good. Reason number 4, the benefits and detriments. Well, we already started talking about that. The lot coverage will be reduced by 1,103 square feet, meaning there will be less impervious surfaces. And as I said, reduced risk of uncontrolled stormwater flow onto adjacent properties. The neighborhood will benefit from the attractive architectural design, and therefore I conclude there will be no detriments to the public good by the approval of this proposal. Finally, reason number 5, there's no substantial detriment to the zoning regulations and master plan. I'm going to provide some of the goals stated in the master plan of 2018 to preserve and enhance the primarily residential character of the community, to maintain a balance of residential, business, and public uses, and to preserve and improve the quality of life. The modernization and improvement of the circa 1930 dwelling in the single-family residential zone for the benefit and enjoyment of its current and future residents is consistent with all 3 goals of the master plan. As I've also previously stated, the 2018 master plan specifically discussed the R4 districts as having undersized lots that require frequent variance requests due to smaller lots, and recommends the bulk requirements of the zone should be reexamined. It can be said that this proposed improvement will in fact advance the goals and recommendations of the master plan, and therefore can be granted without substantially impairing the intent and purposes of the master plan.
So in sum, your conclusions?
Okay. For the reasons expressed in my testimony, it's my professional planning opinion that the D4 variance for habitable floor area ratio and the C1 and C2 bulk variances for front yard setback, both side yard setbacks, aggregate side yard setback, and building coverage should be granted as the benefits substantially outweigh any possible detriments.
Thank you. Board may have questions.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness?
I do. So the application has, for the right setback, it has been reduced from 19 feet to 6.67 feet, the narrowest point. Even the widest point, you have 8.75 feet. Have you considered about fire safety, or there are a lot of trees in the backyard of the applicant's lot and also the adjacent lot? In the future, when the tree grow and they need to cut it, how can the trucks be getting to the backyard? Because right now there's no, once the building is constructed, there's no sufficient width for those type of engineering trucks to go to the backyard and perform those tasks.
Yeah, I will say that we have had this situation before where, in general, I would say a home is not designed for that, to have access of that size. I mean, there are crane services and so on and so forth that could provide that kind of service of removing trees from the rear yard.
You mean move the tree from the yard, from the front,
Yeah.
in front of the house to go all the way to the back of the yard? It's a pretty deep yard, so I have never thought about something can go 140 feet,
Yeah,
down to
and
the line.
I would also say, if need be, I would think something could be, I don't know if this is in my purview to discuss, but
I don't know whether that.
I've seen it before where trees can be cut down and chopped up into little pieces and carried out, by smaller machinery or by workers.
So,
Is there space, though, next to this area, right through the neighbors, on the neighbor side?
I'm sorry.
If there was an emergency to the side of this, there is space, because there's a driveway on the other side.
Yeah, let me show the, maybe it's on here. This thing is crazy.
I don't know if you want
There
me
may be some space, ma'am, in the sense that the neighbor's driveway, it's not just 6 feet, it's 6.67 feet. It's, there is an open space. So in case of one-time emergency, I'm sure some accommodation could be made with a neighboring property owner to allow a vehicle on as I said, on a one-time basis to go back there.
There's also, if I could recall my client, but he's advising, he has no large trees in his backyard. But there is access, if need be, on the other side of us, on the property to the other side.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Mr. Shorn?
Yeah, a couple. Did you visit this site, or
I did.
did you observe the other houses on that street between Northfield and Crest?
I did, as a general observation, yes, observe them.
Okay, and are you aware that there's, towards Crest, that there are 2 other houses that have an attached garage?
I believe that there's, if I'm not mistaken, there's 3 houses on the same side of the street that have attached garages, and then the remainder of them seem to have detached garages. So, they look like were developed at a similar time to the subject house.
And are you aware that those are also single height garages that were attached that are also more towards the front, so they don't impact the adjacent neighbor's property?
Well, that may be true. I did not observe that in itself, but I will observe that we are except for maybe a de minimis amount staying back that 40 feet, as you can see, from the front yard.
Yep, okay. And I know you brought up the reasoning about that, the benefit is that, you now have this open space in the rear yard to the neighbors. But then what about the detriment to the neighbor next door, since now you're encroaching on their space by putting the addition on that side and being 6 foot to the lot line? You're now, basically, it's not just that there's a single garage that's there, that's 1 story, that then you have the open space around it. You now have this long 2-story house that's all the way up against the side of number 4.
Well, that's not quite the way I look at it, and I'm basing it on what I heard from the architect too, and the reasons why the home goes there. Now, what we essentially were doing is, we're taking this existing garage, we didn't talk about how close that is to the property line. So there's an existing garage and driveway, and if you were on the neighboring property, you'd be looking at, well, the side of a garage. Now, you might say it's a 1-story garage, but you're looking at driveway, pavement, garage, shed, all of his stuff in the back. We're taking that out, and that's what I meant by now the view from really any of our neighbors, not to single anyone out, the neighbor to the left, the neighbor to the right, they're looking not just to their backyard, but now they're looking out into a beautiful open area, as opposed to seeing this garage and car parked and that type of thing. And we're pulling this up. So now I would say that as a design, and I believe that's what Mr. Hall was saying, is that by providing that design and providing those, that organization of the lot, that's actually a benefit, because right next to their driveway, well, maybe it's not that big a deal that your neighbor is right there. But in the backyard where it's more private, you have more of an expanded vista back there.
Any other questions from the board? Does anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay, do you have any more witnesses?
No.
Just checking. Does anyone on the board want to make a statement? I'm sorry, anyone in the public, make a statement first. Okay, anyone on the board would like to make a statement? Mr. Kaya?
Apparently, I feel like this, looking at the picture, the diagram here, the original one.
Are you talking about this one?
Yeah, all the houses in a row, they're in a similar bit, and all of a sudden, this is gonna be a little wider, right?
I don't know if that's necessarily true, because, again, I won't claim that I measured all the houses on the street or anything like that. But if you look at this aerial, this is our subject house, and the black area is the, one of the, proposed addition there. And, again, just an eyeball, not scaling anything. We definitely have some homes on the other end of the street, and I think you mentioned, the other member here talked about the attached garages. These look like some homes that were modernized and updated, maybe in a similar way, but they're certainly really close to the subject property. And, there's certainly some smaller ones, but there's some other larger ones, I think, that are, so I do not think that this house will stand out as being not fitting into the neighborhood.
Anybody else want to make a statement?
I appreciate the hardship. I understand it, and I really appreciate the limitations of the lot. But I do have some concerns about encroachment on that property on the right.
Yeah, so just to follow on, because you already have one side, it's very narrow, right? You have the lowest is 6.16. So now you are encroaching on the other side too, right? So you have 6.67 and 8.75. So that's extremely tight. You know, it just, it feels like you have a big object in the middle of this small property.
Well, you know, as an answer to that, I will say, as we heard from the architectural testimony, and I tried to highlight in my testimony, that the nature of it is that providing an attached garage, like we heard about how an attached garage is a modern amenity. It might not even be permitted if you wanted, from what I heard from the previous application, that you have a detached garage. So in order to add an attached garage to this house, I almost don't see how it could happen unless you put it on the side. We heard about how if we went further into the backyard, we'd be creating other variances, and we'd be pushing the house now into the backyard, and we'd have to have the driver go back there anyway. And how would we do like a left turn? You know, we don't have enough maneuvering room, I think was what Frank was saying. So if you're gonna put on a garage, it has to be 12 feet wide. If you're gonna put on a room, it really needs to be, you're not gonna build a bedroom less than 12 feet wide. So we end up with the dimensions that we have. We're kind of forced into it by the fact that if we're gonna do an addition on this house at all, we're, you know, now all of a sudden, they sort of have to be very similar dimension to what we presented. I don't know that there's like a radically different option, and it certainly wouldn't be a better option.
I'd also like to say, I mean, I understand the hardship that you're discussing. But on the same token, you know, it's one thing if the project was adding a garage and trying to put that on the side of the house, and I understand that with the setbacks and what would be required in order to fit just a garage. But if that was the case, it wouldn't have the encroachment, even if you had the garage in the same place where it is now, so you have that same 40-foot front setback, and it was solely just a garage, there wouldn't be a height encroachment, I feel, on number 4. There wouldn't be a huge encroachment for the going back, so it's even further back. You know, it's a long, straight back addition that's on the side of the house that's basically like a giant wall where one window is looking directly into another window. I do know from what I observed, number 4, that side entrance is the entrance that they use on that house, and they also are on the corner, which makes every part of their property basically unusable for them to expand. They're kind of limited also as well. So there's ability to be able to, it's not like you've increased all the setbacks where the rear, you can't go back and you can't go in any other direction, but just for the mass of that house to be next to number 4, I just think it's a detriment to that house.
I want to make a statement, and I agree with my fellow board members. The encroachment of the left-hand side setback, I just felt that by taking both sides, you know, beyond the 10 feet setback and pushing everything to the front, it's not going to be, it's going to break the characteristic of the block. All the houses out there have the detached garage in the back, and I understand your hardship, and I understand, you know, the niceness about the attached garage, but I feel that you have the back, you know, area to do that improvement. And I'm sure, you know, the left turn can be, you have the architect, you should have the turning templates to show that if it's really not, you know, just as a demonstrate, you know, to us that putting the garage to the back, you know, to this back, using the back area, you know, of the house is totally infeasible. So that's my statement that I want to.
You wanted us to come back with architectural template to show that they can't put the garage in the back? Is that what you are requesting?
If it's possible.
Okay, could I just recall the architect and he could describe it?
Yeah,
Now?
why don't we, yeah, if you
Do
could
that?
maybe help her out a little bit?
Thank you.
Okay.
Rather than come back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, Frank, so you've heard some of the questions as to whether it would be feasible to put an attached garage at the rear of this house.
That's correct. I just want to go to our floor plans. If I understand correctly, what's being suggested is that we, instead of adding the garage at the right-hand side of the house, that we put it across the back of the house. I guess that's what we're saying. What that would really mean is if we look over here, where we have a kitchen and a dining space, instead of those facing the backyard or having windows, there would be a garage. I've never done anything like that. It's commonplace to have a garage adjacent to the side of the house, but I've never done a house where there's no backyard access because we have a blank wall at the back of the first floor. I understand it seems like there should be some other place to put it, but given the already narrow house,
The question also was, though, can you make a left-hand turn into the garage? Would that be, what kind of space? Is there a turning template that would fit back there?
well, to turn in and be able to back out again, typical two-way drive aisle is 24 feet, right, in a parking lot. Parking, where there's a single loaded or double loaded aisle for parking, to pull in and back out of the space again, generally that's 24 feet. And, we could probably do it with, maybe a little bit less than that. But that would mean that the front of the garage would be here at the right-hand side of the house to provide any kind of room to turn into the left and back out again, if that makes sense. Which would mean that the garage would occupy the entire back wall of the front of the house, entire back wall of the first floor of the house, which would be a really unprecedented, undesirable condition and make the house literally unsaleable at any point in the future.
What about the driveway area to create the K-turn effect to get out of there? Would that be a larger asphalt area that would be needed?
Well, yes, that is also true, because we would have to maintain all of that impervious coverage down the side of the house where we've eliminated it, add the structural addition to the house, and then add all that impervious coverage back again. I understand it seems logically like there should be a place to put it there, but to have the back of the house have no windows, no backyard access, I mean, like not look out into the yard, not have access to a patio or a deck or anything like that. It's just, it would be a real design non-starter. And I just like to observe what Mr. Baldanza went to, observing that the master plan actually suggests that the setback should be reduced in the R4? Re-examined, right? If they were to be reduced, what would they be reduced to? Instead of 10, it would be 8 or something? If they were to be reduced, we would be pretty close to them.
Thank
Okay. What?
Well,
You
I had a
have another
question.
question
Oh, yeah,
for
don't
the
run away.
architect?
Oh, yes.
You're back.
I understand with the rear garage, but on the flip side, if this was, I guess what I was trying to say, if this was an application where you still had, we're coming here with the single car garage where it is, without the double height and without the double, triple depth of the mass, that would be, I think, a detriment to the neighboring property. And instead, then add it to the back, which then there's no garage in the back. You have other rooms or reconfigure the house. I mean, you can even go wider because you still have the ability to, not, obviously not all the way out to the width of the garage and not require a variance, but that would be a better alternative without
sorry,
impacting number 4.
Just so I understand, with the garage itself going where?
The garage where it is now, but just a single-story garage, no room above it, no room behind it, no, single-story garage. The width of that, I understand, needs a variance, whatever else, but
And not add, as opposed to adding the living space?
adding the living space above, adding the living space behind, that width, that's affecting then the neighboring property. Because otherwise, the garage would have been more towards the front of the house and not impacting the side view or anything else out of the neighboring lot in number 4, and really encroaching on their space, so it'd still be open. And then the living space would be towards the rear, which also wouldn't be, the other houses on the street are more like that. They're more long, and if they have a single-car garage that's attached, it's towards the front and not impacting the neighboring house. It still might be close, but they're not impacting any windows or anything else, because it's towards the front of the house.
I do understand. Given the angled nature, the non-parallel nature of the house to the property lines, as the further back we go, the further from the property line we are. By the time we get to the back corner, I understand it's long, but we're at 8.75 feet there. We're not that far away from a desirable setback.
But then you could also come still to the right. I mean, you don't, the garage is, what is it, 12 feet? You obviously could go 8 feet or whatever without needing the variance for the side yard. You still have space to go, you just can't go the full 12 for anything you do on that side. But it's the 12-foot wide, straight back up, that makes it that you have very limited space between the neighboring house.
Oh, you mean we could go 8 feet and still have room to drive past it?
No, I'm saying, no, there's still a
Let's-
garage in
we really can't redesign them
Yeah, no, I
during the testimony here. I know we're all trying to solve some problems here. If I could jump in, I mean, obviously we have a difficult lot here, a difficult situation. We're trying to update this home. Personally, I don't have a problem with the garage moving up where it is. I think it's a better position. But I think I'm hearing from some of the board members that there might just be too much house in varying amounts above or behind, and I don't know if there's a way we could,
Yeah.
maybe you guys want to talk for a few minutes or something, if we could
I
kind of
understand.
come up with something that's amiable to everybody?
One of the problems, though, is, I think the testimony was that the garage has to be the width that it is. It's the minimum width.
Yes.
So, and that's the only, based upon that testimony. So, and then to get another bathroom so that they're not using one bathroom on that second floor, it's one extra bedroom that is the suggestion up there. So it's still in that same line. So we can take a break and I can talk to my client, or I don't know whether I can have 5 minutes?
Yeah,
or-
because actually I
you.
need a little voice room, but, on testimony, but,
What-
I need a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
So look, let's take a
Thank
10-minute
you.
break, and, maybe a setback or something would work. We are back on the record.
Thank you. Board members, in light of the fact that there's 6 of you and this is a use variance, and also based upon your comments with respect to that upstairs area, they're working fast and furiously out in the hallway, but I don't think that we could come back with something that, they have an idea, so to speak, but I don't know that the board would accept a free-form description of such plans. It would be the applicant's request that we carry this to March or April, whatever the board can accommodate us. And I understand this is the fourth time. This is my second time here. We've had the pleasure of representing Mr. Gangwal only since January, when we came in and got to meet him and look at the plans, and then meet with the planning experts. So if we could please have an adjournment to whatever month the board sees fit, we would greatly appreciate it.
Jackie, do we have, do we have room in March, maybe? I think you'll need a little time to get it together and get it through the process.
Yeah, it would mean that this applicant would need to get revised plans over to the zoning officer for a re-review, and then back to me. He needs 10 days in zoning, he needs 10 days to get this circulated to the board. It's really up to the board if they want to push this to the March 26th or April 23rd. I'll caution the board, though, we've never had this many hearings on an application, but I do understand the applicant, and he's trying to get to a positive vote. We'll encourage the absent members to watch the recording.
100%.
I can't guarantee that we'll have a full board, but certainly March or April.
Do you have a preference, or?
If I can interject,
And we'll have much smaller, we'll have less, we won't need the planning
for
testimony.
Ms. McGovern, in order to get on to March meeting, you got a real tight window.
Yeah.
The one who's got the job to do, get it done. Giving me the yes, so that doesn't sit well with the board, we'll take April.
It's not a matter of sitting well with the board. If I could just, as an attorney, I'm going to tell you that we're already in March, we're virtually at March
No,
1.
I understand that.
And if you
but-
got a 20-day window to come back for that, I'm going to,
Yeah, the board, just so I'll let you know, the board already has 5 applications scheduled for that, at the March 26th hearing, so this would be number 6.
you might want to go to April.
I have very senior age parent, I need to come back.
All right, Ms. McGovern,
Speak into this microphone.
I'm okay for March if
They're saying, though, is we may be behind 5 other applications.
No, I'll take you first.
That's-
Would?
Yeah.
Okay.
if that's what you want to do, but
Yeah.
I'm going to strongly suggest that you be ready for March. If
We'll
you
be ready.
decide to do March, I don't mean to
Yeah,
take your thunder.
please.
This board's heard it, and they've been very patient, and they're gonna, and they've expressed what they think you need to maybe look at. That's one heck of a timeline, but if you want it March, that's what it is, but I would suggest to you that in March, you're not getting April,
sure,
okay?
Good.
yep. Which March is the date?
So the date, for members of the public, this matter is continued to March 26th at 7 p.m. No further notice is required.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No, just so the record is clear, we did re-notice again for this meeting, so the notice is
Oh, great.
is current.
Thank you so much. Okay. Ready to call the next witness?
Block 1508, Lot 7, 17 Maplewood Drive, application number 2023-51-V, Ajith Kumar Bobahudi, Applicant seeks approval for a second-story addition in the rear in violation of the following sections: 170-99C3, side yard aggregate, 20.7 feet required, 18.2 feet proposed, 2.5 feet variance requested. 170-87CC4, habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 38.9% proposed, 8.9% variance requested. 170-87E1D4, accessory structure shed, rear yard setback 5 feet required, 3.5 feet proposed existing, 1.5 feet variance requested. Side yard setback 5 feet proposed, 4.1 feet proposed existing, 0.9 feet variance requested.
Okay. You and Mr. Bottoli?
Bodepuri?
Bottapudi, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Bode.
Bodapudi, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements and testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Please consider yourself under oath.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. No, you have no, you're by yourself? No other people
No.
with you? Okay, great. So please,
Yeah.
fill us in.
We can be brief, unlike the last one. So we met last in December, and there was some, the variance that was requested was twofold, one for HFA and one for HFR, and it was unlikely that, I get approval for both the variances. So I went back with my architect and redid it, and we are now conforming with the HFA, the area. So we're conforming to the 3220, but we are in violation with the requesting a variance for HFR by 8.9%. And the hardship is because we are an undersized lot, so that's the hardship and we are requesting for the variance just for HFR. The other variances in the denial application is they are existing, not conforming. So the addition is not violating anything that is existing. And the addition is only in the back, which also conforming with the neighbor's setback too. And we are conforming on the backyard rear setback as well. So the only variance that we are requesting right now because of the addition is the HFR.
Can you describe the changes you made since the last time you were before us?
Sure. It's just a square footage reduction on the second floor. The last time we had the similar size of first floor and second floor, but second floor is now cut back to conform with the total square footage of 3,220.
And that area is now a balcony.
That is not balcony, correct.
Hey, does anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Does anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Yes, please step forward. And this is a question, right? You can make a statement later. Just go up to the mic.
I need to state my name. And
Yes, please.
yeah, my name is Peng Wang. First name is Peng, P-E-N-G. Last name is Wang, W-A-N-G. I'm in the neighbor property, 19 Maplewood. So based on the updated document, I just have a couple of questions. Because I was also here last time, right? I noticed the existing first floor and existing second floor number was reduced. So I'm not sure you guys have the last time's document. If you want to have, you can take a look. I mark it here.
No, the board has those copies.
So basically, the last time the existing first floor is 1498, and this time existing first floor is 1470, and the last time the existing second floor is 1344. Now it's 1285. So it's like a total reduction about, I think, 85 somehow square footage. So that's my first question. How can this happen, right? And then the second one is that I guess as the gentleman just mentioned, there's no change in the first floor. So if that's the case, last time the first floor, existing, the difference between proposed and existing has like 418 square foot difference. But this time I see the proposed first floor and the existing first floor difference is only 155. I don't know how, the number just doesn't add up, especially if you look at the first floor, map, which is, I believe, 21 9-inch multiplied 21 4-inch. That's clearly is 418. But,
Excuse me for a second, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
This is a question period.
oh, yeah.
All right, so, and I had a hard time hearing
yeah,
you, but...
sorry, I just
but
needed some explanation.
It's
yeah.
not appropriate to make comments, it's appropriate to ask a question of the witness.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I think
yeah,
what you're
that's my
asking is
question.
for understanding the calculation for this
Correct.
footage of each floor.
Correct.
If you could maybe help us out a little bit?
I'm not sure, should I help out? Because this is the plan approved by the architect and also the zoning, and they're happy with the square footage. If they have any questions, I think he can refer to the zoning.
Well, I think he asked a question of how it was calculated, and you're presenting the plan, so I think it behooves you to try to answer his question as best you
So
can.
how should I explain it? I have the existing versus new here.
Yeah, my first question is that I see the existing first floor and second floor square footage are both reduced. That is, I assume it
So
should not
existing
happen.
first floor is 1470 right now. That's what, and the garage is 188, which is not included in the habitable area. And and with the addition now 1622 on the first floor and 1598 on the second floor, combined becomes 3220. You want to go room by room and measure? I don't know
No,
what you're asking for here.
my first question is just how can the existing first floor and second floor square footage reduce the total by about 85? But if you cannot answer, that's fine. My second question is that, as you just mentioned, there's no change for your, expansion plan on the first floor, right? So last time, I have the document here, which is, from existing 1498 to 1916, which is a 418 square foot difference. But this time is existing 1470 and proposed the first floor 1622, which is only 152 square foot increase. That just seems like the number that doesn't add up, because based on your map there, it's 21 by 21, which is 418. But how can it only increase 152? That's my second question.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the neighbor did come into the zoning office to question the calculations, and the zoning officer did re-review and contacted the architect, and an updated plan was submitted, which the board has. I'm not sure you were able to see the copy of that, but that came in after your visit to the office.
Yeah, but then in that case, I think the proposed total square footage will be exceed 3220.
Well, it looks like, these plans are on their fourth iteration, so I'm only speculating, but it appears that the existing calculations were redone, and they might have been incorrect to begin with, which is why you're seeing this discrepancy. And this was, as Ms. Hollis says, this was reviewed by the zoning officer, and he double-checked the numbers. So I would think that the numbers on the latest set, the February 20th, 24 set, is correct.
So then what's the total proposed square footage? From
3220.
But then clearly, first floor, there's no change, right? Second floor is only reduced about 100 square footage. It cannot reduce. Last time the total proposed is 3672. If we only reduce by 100, it should be 35 somehow square footage. I just, basically my question is just like, I don't see how the number come down to 3220.
Well, we lost almost 300 square feet on the...
Yeah, basically the proposed, I believe the first time the proposed expansion, each floor is about 418 or 16. So I see this time the second floor reduced about maybe 100 or 150, I don't know. So the total should be reduced from last time 3672 minus, I don't know, 100 or 150. It will still be in 35 range, not like a 3220. That's my question.
Can we move forward saying that 3220 is the maximum this house can be? And which is a lower confining number, which is what we see on the plans, irregardless of the previous calculations? Would that be acceptable and that make sense to you? So you're saying it might be 35, 34, whatever the number is. If we're saying 32, it won't be bigger than that. So you won't get anything bigger than what you're expecting. Does that kind of answer your question or satisfactory?
Yeah, but if you, I just today click a link, take a look, right, on the website. So I see the change. That's how I get a number. I just checked the link today. Yeah, I understand what you mean. You basically say, let's assume it's 3220, right? But I don't, if it's 3220, then the second floor needs nearly completely reduced. You can achieve that number. That's my understanding. Because the existing is already 2842, right? The existing total square footage is 2842. So you just add 400, that'll be 3240, just a single floor. So how can there even be a second floor? Okay, I understand what you mean. I just don't bring.
No, I understood. It was a good question.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
anything else you want to add to?
No,
response?
it's certified, zoning approved it, so I don't have any further. It's certified from a certified architect,
Okay,
who was
well,
here last time.
You can make a statement later if you want, and stay close, I guess. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, does anybody in the public want to make a statement? Would you like to make a statement, or? Would you have to swear in for that?
Yeah, yes, still me, Peng Wang, if you want to write a name. So I want to make a first statement, which is. Oh,
Do you
I see.
swear or affirm that any and all statements you make right now are going to be true, accurate, and complete?
Yeah.
Thank you. Consider yourself under oath.
Sure.
Please proceed.
Yeah, the first statement I want to make is that, today I just go through Livingston Township link and find the update document. Based on what I see, the update design, I believe the number doesn't add up, and the total proposed square footage should still be around 3,500 range, rather than the 3,220 square foot range. That's the first one. Yeah, the second one to say that, as the update design, right, so there are like last time there's just one window. This time it's like 3 windows on the side face to my patio. Especially there are 2 on the second floor. That's really impact my privacy because only like 11 feet to my patio. And around neighborhood, I don't see any even new house or proposed change has so many windows. If you look at the design, it has 3 windows facing our side, 3 windows on the back side, 3 windows on the other side. Basically, all 3 sides, all 3 windows is like total 9 windows. I just want to make a statement is that I don't see in our neighborhood. Usually, for my house, we don't really have side window facing both sides. And also for many of the houses in the area, I don't see that. That's my statement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to make a statement. Just followed by Mr. Wang's statement, I did a quick calculation of Exhibit V-2 on your proposed first floor plan and the proposed second floor plan. Based on the shaded area, I did a calculation. Yes, those 2 shaded area adds up to 722 square feet. So that if we add that 722 on top of your existing 2,842 square feet, we get 3,664 proposed instead of 3,220. So I would say you probably have some, yeah. That's probably why the testimony has a question.
Any other comments or questions? Anybody from the public, any comments or questions, just to make sure, besides what we heard already? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve this application with the qualifier that the habitable floor area cannot exceed 3220. And make sure all revised plans go through Jackie. So 3220 is the top it can be. And we will. And the floor area ratio is at 8.9% maximum. He just has to take care of the plan. Yeah, he's okay. Anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Beer,
Yes.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Kenya,
Yes.
Ms. Marash,
Yes.
and Ms. Yuan.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for your comment. We appreciate that. When you're ready to call the next application.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. No, thank you very much.
Block 1901, Lot 23, 3 Thurston Drive, application number 2024-2-V, Infinity Holdings 7 LLC. Applicant seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in violation of the following sections: 170-87CC3, habitable floor ratio, 21% required, 23.4% proposed, 2.4% variance requested.
Good evening, Corey Klein from the law firm of Sills, Cummis and Gross on behalf of the applicant Infinity Holdings 7 LLC. I will make my introduction brief as I'm mindful of the time right now.
Thank you.
So you heard that we submitted an application for a habitable floor area ratio variance. The applicant is requesting relief to permit floor area ratio of 23.4%, where the code permits a floor area ratio to a maximum of 21%. We served notice by certified mail and published notice for the board's January 23rd meeting, and on January 23rd, the hearing on our application was carried to tonight without further notice to the public being required. We would ask the board to acknowledge receipt of proof of publication and service of the notice, and that jurisdiction is properly before this board.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Tonight, we're presenting our first witness is Mr. Heike Echian of Space & Mark LLC, a licensed New Jersey architect, to testify regarding the proposed home from an architectural standpoint. We'll have him sworn and qualified.
Hi, my name is Heike Echian. I'm a licensed architect.
If you can speak just a little bit louder.
My name is Heike Echian. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. My license is current. I designed this home for 3 Thurston Drive. I'm a graduate of New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I'm a principal at Space & Mark Architecture.
Mr. Echian, if I can have your attention for a second. Mr. Echian, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make to the board this evening, including your testimony, will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
I'll turn it over to counsel on credentials.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to have Mr. Echian qualified as an expert in the field of architecture.
And I think you said your licenses are current and good standing?
Yes, it is.
I assume they were. Did anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Echian, it's my understanding that Since what was submitted to the board, we have changed the front facade and sort of pushed and pulled the proposed building, resulting in a slightly different footprint, but we've actually decreased the square footage by 15 square feet. So if you can introduce your plans as revised and kind of walk us through.
That's correct.
What's being proposed.
The plans are still more or less the same. We refined it and improved it after we submitted the application. It's a single-family home, and I'll let our planner and engineer testify to all the variances and planning testimony. So I'd like to walk you through the house itself. This is the first floor of the home. It's about 1,596 square feet. We walk into a main open foyer with a stair tower. To our right, we have a dining room, living room, and towards the back, we have a family room, kitchen area. And towards the back of the garage, we have a two-car garage on the right side. We have a guest bedroom with an ensuite bathroom, walk-in closet. And over here, we also tucked in the pantry that can be accessible behind the kitchen through the mudroom. We also have a powder room behind the stair tower. On the second floor, we have total of 4 bedrooms. One of them is a primary bedroom with 2 walk-in closets and a primary suite. And the other 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms share a hallway bathroom. One is an ensuite, and we have a laundry room on this floor. The bedrooms are decent size for Livingston standards for this zone as well. And let me take you to the, and on the basement level, we have a rec room. We called this room a bedroom, just to have the option of having a bedroom, but it could also be used as an office as well. We put in a full bathroom because we added a gym in the basement level, and typically having a full bathroom is beneficial on that level as well. A mechanical room and a walkout stairs towards the back. We made some changes to, looking at the, hold on. Do we have the, updated plans in here? Okay, so this is the updated plans. So I walk you through the plans that was submitted. As you can see, they're more or less the same. The changes are pushing and pulling the spaces on the first floor. So we gave ourselves a little bit more space on the first floor on the dining room side and the family room side because we have a combined dining room and living room, and a few more feet is needed for the space. And we took it away from upstairs by shrinking the house from the right, pushing the bedroom back a little bit, bedroom 1. So it's 15 by 13 instead of 15 by 15. So we made some adjustments, and overall we reduced the square footage by about 10 feet. So the elevations kind of slightly changed. We have 3 gables. It's a transitional style home, beautiful, and meets the current architectural standards of today.
Do you, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Akshin, do you have color elevations as well?
Yes, I'm going to come to that next. And here are our renderings for those elevations. As you can see, we're proposing board and batten siding, wood siding that's beautifully balanced on the front facade. We have a stair tower that'll look beautiful from the corner view over here. You can see it.
Excuse me, can we mark that as Exhibit A1?
Yes.
I don't think we have that.
Yes, I think This entire set of
Is that-
plans should,
yeah.
should be marked as Exhibit A1.
And
They
send
were
it to
submitted-
Jackie later?
Yeah, they were submitted to Jackie
Okay.
on Friday, and these are the revised architectural plans, and it includes the color rendering.
Okay.
Counselor, could you please just explain who prepared the plans and what they depict?
Yes, absolutely. The plans were prepared by Mr. Exchian of Space and Mark, and they depict the revised architectural floor plans and elevations, as well as color renderings of the proposed home. And if you could, Hike, if you could just let us know what the date is on the plan set
Yes.
and how many pages?
Design revision is February 22nd, 2024. There are 4 pages.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counsel.
Okay. So you can see the renderings, as I was saying, it's a high-end design that we'd like to bring to Livingston. It's going to be a beautiful home. It's going to improve the landscape, the streetscape there. And I believe that it'll bring in more development to the area and to the neighborhood. I think the only variance that we are asking is the FAR variance that's 2.3%, I believe, over. And I think it's minimal, and the benefits will greatly outweigh the detriments. And I'll let the planner speak more about how the lot can absorb this size of a home.
Okay, before I move on to our civil engineer and planner, are there any questions for Mr. Exchian?
Up from the board? Any questions from the public? Please come forward. Please state your name and address.
I'm sorry, it's my first time.
It's
so,
okay, no problem.
My name is Iren, and my last name is Wang, W-A-N-G. My first name is Y-I-R-E-N. I'm the next door neighbor from 5 Thurston Drive. Basically, we have very good relationship with Mr. Murray for the past almost 30 years, okay? Unfortunately, he passed away, and but we are also happy that we have new builder. The only thing I have concern as a
It's a question now. If you want to make a statement, you can make a statement later.
Oh, sorry.
It's
I don't
okay, no
know.
problem. It's your
I
first
have a
time.
question. Okay, I wrote it down. I'm kind of nervous. Okay.
Please relax.
My major question is, when you start the demolition on the driveway, existing driveway, because currently part of my lot is on the driveway, on the 3 Thurston Drive, okay? It's like a triangle shape. It's my lot. And I just want to know if you are going to restore my lot with like sod, just simple grass.
I don't think that the architect is going to be prepared to answer that question, but I will, I'll relay that to my client and see what we can do. I wasn't aware that there was an encroachment. Oh, our civil engineer is indicating to me that he can answer the question. We're going to call him to testify next, so
Okay.
he'll address that.
Okay, and the next concern I have, actually, it's beautiful rendering. Okay, I was
Thank you.
I was study architecture myself, so I have a little background. I saw the elevation. So basically, it's extension to the back. So I'm just a little concerned about the you know how like if you can go back to the elevation.
Okay.
Yeah, on the right side, on the bottom, you see there's like the window all the way on the back. Those are the addition. Oh, not the garage. It's the sort of the 3-window tile.
Oh, this
Yes.
stair tower.
Okay, that
yes.
side. Those are the new extra area that is being built, and it's pretty tall. It's nice. I don't have any objection. It's just that that window is facing my backyard. I'm just having a little privacy concern, that's it. And if you can just have trees, some kind of trees, sort of blocking it, then I think I would be okay. That's the only concern I have. It's only these two things. That's
Okay,
it.
thank you. They'll address
Thank you.
along the way, I assume, Council, right?
Mr. Rekshian, does that window in fact face her backyard, or?
Not her backyard, her side yard, I believe, because this stair tower is at the front of the house. Yes, so this is at the front corner of the, this is the front corner of the home. This is what, not this one?
It's the one behind the garage.
Behind the garage.
Right. It's not on your beautiful rendering.
Okay.
Yes.
Here?
Yes, that side. Those are the extra extended space. The bedroom, it's new, extended.
Okay. So behind the garage, we have a bedroom
Yes,
and a
and then it's-
bathroom, and then on the second floor, we have
Window.
bedroom,
The window, you didn't draw the window, but your elevation has the window.
let's see.
Did you see?
This is the side elevation.
On the right
On the
side.
garage side, there's no window here.
No, go down.
This is the
She's talking
bathroom
about
window.
the lower one.
This window?
Wait,
I'm sorry.
kind of confused.
Yes, so, okay. These windows,
Right.
okay, so these windows are
The other
the
side?
stair tower window that's on the other side, the opposite of garage.
Okay, then we're
And-
fine.
Yeah, and it's at the front corner of the house, and it's facing the front of the property,
Okay.
pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
welcome.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Is there anyone else?
I think that's it.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to call my second and final witness, Mr. Mike Lanzafama. We'll have him sworn.
Mr. Lanzafama, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you're going to make to the board this evening, including your testimony, will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do, sir. My
Thank you.
name is Michael Lanzafama, that's Lanzafama. I'm a licensed professional engineer, land surveyor and planner, licensed in the state of New Jersey. I'm a principal with the firm of Casey and Keller Incorporated, 258 Main Street, Millburn, New Jersey, and all my licenses are current, and I've been before this board on numerous occasions.
Okay, does anyone on the board have any questions or objections to this witness?
Just, Mr. Lanzafama, counsel, in what capacity will he be testifying?
He will be testifying as an expert in the field of engineering, and we'll also have him testifying as an expert in the field of planning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in engineering and planning.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lanzafama, if you could describe briefly your responsibilities in connection with this project?
Certainly. We were charged with the responsibility of preparing the base survey mapping of the property, in which we prepared a boundary and topographic survey that shows the existing site conditions of the property. And as you can see from the boundary and topographic survey that we submitted with the application, you could see that the property is located on the south side of Thurston Drive. It's identified as number 3 Thurston Drive, and it's tax lot 23 and block 1901. The property is located approximately 100 feet west of East McClellan Avenue. It is located in the R3 zone, and that is 100-foot frontage and 150-foot depth, giving us a 15,000 square foot lot, which is exactly the minimum lot area required for the properties in the R3 zone. The existing lot was created as part of a subdivision known as Cherry Hill back in 1963, and the house was constructed in the mid-1960s. And you can see from the survey map on the plan that the house occupies basically the central portion of the property. It is a two-story frame structure with 4 bedrooms, and it has a side entry garage. And you can see from the topography of the site that the house is somewhat elevated onto a bit of a knoll. The project proposal is to demolish the existing structure. Let's see, bring that up, okay. To demolish the existing structure and construct a new single-family 2.5-story house. As Hike pointed out, the structure would need a single variance. The property, as proposed, will meet all of the criteria of the R3 zone with regard to bulk standards. And I just would like to review them quickly with you, because it's very interesting that most of the bulk standards we meet or exceed. In that, I mean, we increase, not increase, but we go beyond what is the minimum required for the zone. For example, the front yard setback is compliant at 52.6 feet, which is the average for setback for the area. The side yard requirement, the minimum side yard requirement is 10 feet, and our closest side yard on the east side of the property is 15.9 feet. The combined side yard requirement under the zone is 30%. We're at 44.9%. So it is, again, above what is the minimum. The rear yard setback is 40 feet. We're at 54.5. The building height allowed is 35. We're just under 34 feet at 33.99 feet. The building coverage that's allowed under the zone is 3,429 square feet, and what we're proposing is a footprint of only 2,105 square feet. So it's over 1,000 square feet less than what would be permitted. The habitable floor area, the maximum allowed is the 3520 for the zone, and we're at 3507. So again, in compliance with the standards. So the only variance that we are seeking is a violation of section 170-87 CC paren 3 paren, which is the habitable floor area ratio. What is permitted under the ordinance is 0.21 is the ratio. What we're proposing is 0.234, which violates the habitable floor area ratio by 357 square feet. What's interesting to point out in this application is that the existing structure, the width of the existing structure is slightly over 50 feet. And the width of the proposed structure is only 53 feet 6 inches. So we're only increasing the width of the structure by about 3.5 feet. Even though we're increasing the FAR, where the bulk of the house is towards the rear, so that the streetscape, the image of the structure as you see it from the street, does not overwhelm the streetscape. And I think if you look again at the elevations that were presented, I think they're extremely telling. Let me see if I bring that up. So if you take a look at the massing of the house, One of the things that we have to answer when we do a D4 type variance such as this, dealing with habitable floor area ratio, and what governs this, it's not as you would a D1 use variance, and the Medici case would control. In this case, the Coventry Square versus Westwood Zoning Board of Adjustment is the one that would overrule. And what that does is it's set up so that you don't have to demonstrate that the site is particularly suited for this use, because it is a permitted use. What you have to do is the applicant must demonstrate that the site can accommodate the problems usually associated with a larger floor area ratio than what is permitted by the ordinance. And the usual problems for this type of development is overcrowding on the site is number one, and the other is the loss of light, air, and open space to the adjoining property owners. Unlike a use variance, the standards become, how did the architect fit this structure onto the site? How did he control the massing? How did he articulate the facades, the roof lines, and change the materials and deal with fenestration? I think when you look at this rendering, you can clearly see that the architect did an excellent job in dealing with all of those criteria. The changes in the roof lines, the use of articulation in the front facade softens the appearance of the building and does not make it look overwhelming with regard to the overall neighborhood. When we look at the criteria required, the negative criteria for any variance, not just a D4, is that no variance can be granted without showing that the variance would not, can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. There's no detriment to the public good, in my opinion, because the configuration and location of the proposed dwelling ensures no degradation in the quality of air, light, or open space to the adjoining property owners. And that's demonstrated by the fact that we're fully compliant with the required setbacks for the side yard and combined side yard, as well as the rear yard and front yard. Not only are the side yards compliant, they exceed the minimum that is required under the ordinance. And the fact that the building is fully compliant with regard to coverage and height. I don't see any detriment to the master plan or the zoning ordinance. To demonstrate that, what we look at is the purposes of zoning that are outlined in the municipal land use law. And under A, the encouragement of municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of lands in a manner that will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. I believe this new home provides for space and amenities that most homeowners in 2024 need or require for their property. In this post-COVID age, we look for buildings and homes that can accommodate workspace at home as well as aging into the home in the community. I think the new construction and the investment in the community has an overall positive impact on the neighborhood. I promotes a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangements. I think the aesthetics of the structure pretty much speak for themselves and reinforce that contention on our part. The application will neither cause a substantial, and the word substantial is important here, detriment to the public good, nor a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zoning plan or zoning ordinance. As a matter of fact, the master plan in section 2 under policies on page 6 states that land use planning will provide for a variety of residential and non-residential uses that will encourage continuation and enhancement of the township as a highly desired, high-quality suburban residential community and will not negatively impact upon the aesthetics of the community. As I said before, I think the architect has done an excellent job in meeting that criteria of the master plan. So in my opinion, again, I believe this variance could be granted without substantial detriment to the public good or the intent and purpose of your zone plan. I believe the property can easily support the home as it's currently designed. As part of the permit and approval process, we have to go through what's known as a lot grading permit, and that was indicated in Mr. Marucci's memo to the board. We will apply for that permit. Any tree removal permits will be obtained. We will have to go through the Soil Conservation Service to get certification and approval of the lot grading plan. So any disturbance of the sites or the adjoining properties would be restored with the proper landscaping and/or stabilization of the soil, and the stormwater management would be enhanced by the implication of, or the use of, dry wells for mitigation of stormwater runoff. So that's pretty much my testimony. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Quick question, Mike. Did you address the driveway encroachment? Did I miss that?
There's, let me go back to the survey. The survey, if you look at the survey, can you see that? Let me zoom up on that. On the front corner of the house, you can see that the driveway encroaches on the neighbor's property on tax lot 22. As part of the new construction, that would all be removed. The driveway curb cut will be moved further to the east, and that whole area would be restored with new lawn panel and that any kind of landscaping that might be required in that area would be performed.
And I think the question from the neighbor was, once the driveway is going to be removed, are we going to do anything with property afterwards?
Yes, as part of the overall plan, there's going to be a landscaping plan that would be developed.
I meant on the neighbor's property. Are we doing anything with the neighbor's property once the driveway is removed from the?
Yeah, we'll have to restore that area, certainly.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I just have one quick comment, Mr. Lonsafama. Some of your numbers you read off were different than in your zoning table on drawing number
Right.
2, so I assume that'll be,
That was a result from the architect tweaking the plan a little
Okay.
bit.
all right, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for this witness? Anybody in the public? I think we're good on questions.
I think
In terms of the, Counselor, in terms of the dynamic with the driveway and the next-door neighbors, can we make that a condition of the approval?
A condition of the approval that will restore the neighbor's property? Yeah, I think that's fine.
we have to do that. We're encroaching on our
Yeah,
property.
We would be required to do it in any event,
I
but if
understand,
we
but
want to
it
add
might-
it as a
it might
condition,
give
that's
her some
perfectly
comfort in
fine.
knowing that.
You made a friend. Okay, does any of the public want to make a statement? Does anybody on the board want to make a statement?
I would just say that I appreciate your testimony, and it's phenomenal, and you considering overall holistic view and making sure everything is going to be taken care of. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll say something. I want to thank you for really adhering to the setbacks and presenting a beautiful rendering. And I can't wait to go back and see it when it's all built, because it really is beautiful. So thank you very much.
Okay, counsel, do you want to have any closing statement, or?
No, other than to say that, the relief that we are requesting is relatively minor in nature. We've actually reduced the habitable floor area ratio, but, the relief is still required to create the beautiful building that we're proposing and the improvement of the aesthetics. So, with that, we would ask that the board vote in favor of this application.
Great. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Kenya?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. Yuan?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And I'll be sticking around because I'm on the last application.
You
as well.
again?
Yeah.
If you'd like to call the last application, please?
Sure.
Say again?
Yeah.
Well,
Minor
good, so I can go home.
Minor subdivision with variances, Block 1404, lots 1 and 12, 44 and 46 North Ashby Avenue, application number 2023-57-MSUBV, 44 North Ashby Avenue LLC. Applicant seeks approval to subdivide the parcel and create proposed lots 1.01 and 12.01.
Good evening, Corey Klein again from Sills, Cummins and Gross on behalf of the applicant 44 North Ashby Ave LLC. This is an application for minor subdivision approval, bulk variances, and a floor area ratio in connection with an adjustment of the lot line separating property located at 44 and 46 North Ashby Avenue, identified as lots 1 and 12 in Block 1404 on the Livingston Township tax maps. This lot line adjustment would add lot area to existing Lot 12, and the applicant further proposes to demolish the existing single-family home on Lot 12 and replace it with a new single-family home. The existing home on Lot 1 is proposed to remain. The property is located in the R4 single-family zoning district. The applicant is seeking the variances that I had mentioned, habitable floor area, to permit a lot area of 6,250 square feet for each of the two lots, as will be adjusted by the lot line adjustment, and to permit building coverage to be greater than what is permitted. We served notice by certified mail and published notice of the hearing and submitted proof of publication and service to the board. Would ask the board to acknowledge receipt and that jurisdiction is properly before this board.
Please proceed.
Thank you. So tonight, our first witness is Joe Bocci of EKA Associates, a licensed professional engineer. Will testify regarding the site engineering as well as the subdivision.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bach. Do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you make to the board this evening and any testimony you present will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, sir.
Consider yourself under oath. I'll leave counsel to take you through your credentials.
Okay, Mr. Bocci, if you could please describe your position with the company and any licenses you hold, and briefly provide your education and employment background.
Sure. I'm a principal engineer at EKA Associates, 328 Park Ave, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. 2012 graduate of Rutgers University with the BS in civil engineering. Been practicing ever since. Received my license from New Jersey in 2016. Been practicing professionally since 2016. License is in good standing, active, etc.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in civil engineering.
Excellent.
Thank you. And Mr. Bocci, if you could describe your responsibilities in connection with this project.
Yeah, well, we provided the civil engineering site plans for this project and developed the minor subdivision plan that I'll go through.
And you have reviewed the zoning ordinance of the Township of Livingston?
Yes.
And if you could please orient the board and the public to the property by the surrounding streets and other relevant characteristics.
Yeah, I'll just open up the plans.
Perfect.
If you look at the zoning excerpt here on the cover sheet of our plans submitted and dated November 14th, 2023, the site, as stated, it's lot 1 and 2 of block 1404, as shown here. Let that highlight go away. Bound to the north by Hamilton Lane, to the south and east by residential properties, and to the west by Ashby Avenue. You want me to just continue going through it, or?
Yes, please.
Okay. And I'll try to be brief and concise. So I'm going to jump to the last sheet in the set, which is the existing, the boundary and topo survey. Get a lay of the land here. So as stated, 2 lots. We have a proposed subdivision. But we basically have 2 residential lots here. One is L-shaped. That's lot 1 here to the north. It's, as I stated, bound by Hamilton Lane and Ashby to the west, residential properties to the south and east. It is L-shaped. Our intent is to, make both these lots rectangular. So you have a frontage of 50 along Ashby, 125 along Hamilton, and then you have this 50 by 25 section here that makes it an L. And then 44 Ashby here to the south. This is where we're proposing to demo the building. I'll get to that on a separate sheet. But you can see this lot is rectangular. Again, frontage of 50 feet along Ashby, and then only 100 here to the adjacent property to the north and adjacent to the south, and then 50-foot width here in the rear. Both sites have a 1-story frame dwelling on them, various other improvements, paved driveway on each of them, shown here to the north, here on the south, various, patios, sheds, pavement, pretty, fits into what's existing throughout the neighborhood. I will jump to sheet 2 to look at the subdivision plan. Very simple. We're essentially proposing to remove the L-shaped lot, make them both rectangular. So they'll both remain with the 50-foot frontage on Ashby, 125-foot deep, parallel with Hamilton. So this previously, little addition to the northern lot will become part of the southern lot, both 125 by 50. So simple as that. Moving to sheet 3, our site plan. No proposed improvements on proposed existing lot 1, proposed lot 1.01. There's a number of existing variances, nonconformities on that lot. Side yard, front yard, they're existing. We're not touching that lot aside from moving the lot line. So the actual improvements will occur on proposed lot 1.02. As was stated, demolish the single-story building and give the outline of the proposed single-family structure here. Some minor grading on site. I failed to mention this on the survey, but the it's relatively flat. You really have high points at the structures with stormwater in the existing and the proposed condition, just shedding to the streets. So it'll shed towards Hamilton from this side yard. From this area on the west, stormwater is going to shed towards North Ashby. In the rear, it does go to an adjacent property, but you can see the grading. It kind of goes towards this adjacent property to the west or east, and then over to Hamilton. Slight improvement to that is putting swales on each side of the proposed dwelling on lot 1201. That'll just help stormwater get off this property and not go to adjacent properties to the north or south, and continue to find its way in the existing drainage pattern to Hamilton and Ashby. We're pulling the driveway a little bit off the neighbor's property line. It's kind of conflicts ever so slightly here on the south, and is right on their property line otherwise. So we're pulling that off. We got a nice 10-foot buffer there. Side yard setbacks, we have 10 foot on each side. That's an improvement. It's existing nonconformity. Front and rear yard conform. Building height conforms, which is pretty rare on an undersized lot that you can get a nice size home that conforms with all those bulk standards. I think that's a nice general overview. I don't want to oversell it here, but
Are there any questions for this witness?
Anybody on board? Anybody in the public would like to ask a question of this witness? Oh, I guess.
Okay, thank you. So next I'd like to call our architect, Mr. Ike Ekshian. Okay, well, does he remain sworn, or should we have him sworn in again?
Yes. Yes. Right. Okay, so I'd like to walk you through the building.
You anticipated my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Please proceed.
All right, just to add from an architectural point of view, what we're doing by acquiring this land in the back, not only we're improving the planning of the area, but if the lot is shorter, you can imagine this house being about 25 feet, 23 feet smaller. So with an attached garage, it is very difficult to put in, develop this property and design a home that meets today's standards. So it's very rare that we're able to purchase this rear section and kind of improve the planning of this area. With that, we still did everything that we could to have a good-sized house. Everything is still on the smaller end compared to other homes that we have designed in Livingston. We come into a foyer and a two-car garage to the side. Since the property is narrow, the house will have to be narrow and long. We'll walk through a dining area. To the right, we have a guest bedroom and a bathroom. This is kind of needed in Livingston, in my opinion, with so many people from different backgrounds having in-laws stay over, and sometimes, because of COVID, living standards have changed, and we now need office space, so it could also be used for office. We tucked in the powder room right next to the bathroom, and you access it through the mudroom. As you can see, everything is very efficiently designed. There are no hallways. Rooms are all next to each other. Towards the back, we have a family room kitchen area that's only 16 foot deep. I would say that's on the smaller end, typically designed around 18 feet dimension and for family and kitchen in Livingston. On the second floor, we have 4 bedrooms, a primary suite with a bathroom and a single walk-in closet and another regular closet. And the other bedrooms are on the smaller end, 11 by 10, 12 by 12, 11 by 11. And this is perfect for a family with 3 kids. And we also like to put the laundry room on the second floor where you can access it easily and do your laundry without going up and down the stairs. On the basement level, we are proposing a gym, a bathroom, and the remainder of space will be rec room for kids to play or another area for the family. And of course, we have a mechanical room that's behind the garage. So that's the overview of the plan. The front elevation is a traditional home. We're proposing board and batten siding and lap siding. And it isn't drastically deep. We try to break up the side elevation by putting in a gabled roof on the side. So try to articulate the design for the neighbors as well. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Does the board have questions for this witness?
Anybody?
One question is, just because the numbers are hard to read here, what's the attic height? It looks like it's about 10 feet from the floor to the ridge.
Attic is an unfinished attic. About, hold on. It's 22, sorry, 20 feet. 10 feet from the top of the attic floor to the top of the ridge. So about 9 feet, 9 feet to the bottom of the ridge.
I mean, I guess my question is, I don't know if it's really, who I should really ask this to, but I know you're trying to make this house, you know, as we quote unquote say livable, but there's a lot of house on this property. And I'm concerned with the ratio we're asking for.
I understand. We're doing our best. Reducing the size of the house is either going to, we may have to make the bedrooms even smaller or change the layout and lose some of the features from the house.
I understand that, I just, 15% is, I mean, I know it's a small lot, and, I mean, R4s already have 30%, you know, they're jacked up to
Right.
help you out as much as possible, but it just seems like a lot to me. I'd like to hear from other members of the board.
I think I concur with Mr. Pierre.
Okay.
Pretty substantial. Oh, it is a pretty substantial increment on the ratio of habitable HFR.
We've definitely talked about this before, and yes, I do believe that a 15% overage over that 30%, it's a lot.
Okay.
And there's probably a way to go back and relook at it and make it just a little bit smaller, so it fits more manageably on the property.
Okay.
Is there any height, do you have, I mean, I don't know how we understand the board's not designing the project, but, you know, knowing that they're looking for something less,
Right.
is there any questions that you have, I guess, for the board in terms of, you know, I think we're trying to solicit feedback here.
I can, yeah.
In terms of, you know, what would be palatable without, you know, understanding that it is our project,
Yeah,
but.
it's hard to say, it's just, you know, I think that's a big nut. So, I don't know if there's people in the public here, do they want to make any questions or comments? Or just listening? They're just listening, okay, taking it all in. That's why I just wanted to see if anyone had a thought, but we're trying not to, you know, come up with a square number or try to redesign here, so
I
that's.
guess I can take a look at again how we can reduce the house and try to keep, you know, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms that we need. There are two ways of doing it. I can take away, obviously, there's no other place to take away, but I'm going to have to shorten the house, shrink the bedrooms, see if I can make that work. But if I cannot do that, what is your opinion about using the unfinished attic to put some of the spaces up there? But once we finish the attic, it becomes part of the FAR.
Right, you kind of,
Yeah.
you lose something to gain something, and you go back where you are, I
The
think.
difference is, it's just numbers. The unfinished, right now, the unfinished attic doesn't count towards the FAR. So I can shrink the house from the back and put the square footage in the attic. and it shrinks the overall bulk of the house. But in terms of the numbers, it seems like we're at the same place, even though I'm significantly reducing the bulk.
Yeah, I guess
That makes a full three-story house though, right?
No, still an attic. It's a 2.5-story home.
Yeah, I guess it goes to the question of, is the board's concern with just the bulk of the house? Because in doing so, you know, we have an unfinished attic that doesn't count towards the FAR, but if we had a finished attic and we reduced the house from the back, you'd have a smaller house, even though the FAR would be reduced slightly, if at all, right?
Yeah. For example, we can have a single-story family room kitchen in the back and try to take the space of the master suite and put it in the attic. So we are in a way taking that back section and shrinking it quite a bit and putting that square footage in the attic. The bulk is reduced, but in terms of numbers, you may see, I will try to reduce the FAR, but you may see somewhere, you know, it may be close, but the bulk will be significantly reduced.
I mean, I think it's certainly a bulk issue. I just don't, guidance on the attic is difficult to provide, because I don't know, if, yeah, that's some place we want to go, really. That's just
Right, so I guess
a bulk.
is the
Yeah.
board's concern that just the number of, the amount of FAR alone, or
Yeah.
would reducing the size of the building significantly while having an FAR that is not reduced much, if at all, would that, would that help? Or is the concern really the FAR number?
I think the concern is the FAR number.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's what it is. I mean, it's a small lot. You said it was a small lot, a very small lot. And to put a house of that size on that lot, it's going to be huge. The neighbors won't be happy. It's going to be big. So I really think you should go back and look at it again
Okay, we'll take
and
a
see
look
how
at
you
it
can
again.
cut it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a minor subdivision issue, so
Right.
just, yep. So can we,
So I guess we would like to have the hearing carried. I guess I understand that you guys have a pretty full plate in
Yeah.
March already.
maybe April would be better, Jackie? How does that look? We already have an extra one in March now, so, yeah, that won't work.
Well, that would give, I guess that would give us more time to go back to the drawing board. Another choice, but April?
Can you make the chart a little bit bigger when you come back also? I had to use the magnifying glass to see
Yeah,
it.
certainly. That's a small size print typically we give you.
We're old, use a
And the
larger
zoning
font.
one also.
Yeah, if
just
we were
bigger
to be,
plans.
I guess maybe this is a question for Jackie. If we were to be able to turn plans around in the next several days, is that possible? So we can
When is
get
the
on.
deadline to submit?
I mean, I would think that you guys would, if we were going to try to get on for March, you guys would want us to get revised plans sooner rather than later, like Monday?
All right,
Are we
so I'll
better off
pull
going for
5
April,
all-nighters
Jackie?
and have it done.
Are we better off going for April, or?
All right, sounds good. I'll
Yeah,
I'll try
it's-
my best.
What? I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So you, all right.
I get it
I
done in
vote-
2 days.
So you want to adjourn till March?
Yeah, we'll adjourn to March. If there's a problem getting the plans in by Monday, we'll submit a letter to the board and ask to be carried to April. But I think our intention would be to come back in March with revised plans, have revised plans by, beginning of next week, Monday. So the board and the board's professionals have adequate time to review them.
Yeah, the only thing is, Mr. Klein, if the board adjourns this on March 26th, on the record, you'd have to give new notices if it's carried to the April meeting.
Okay,
So,
understood.
okay.
Okay, then I guess we're adjourned.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's it, right?